When it comes to what I drive, I'm not too picky. As long as it has 4 wheels, a motor, and a steering wheel, it's off to a pretty good start. I also don't care too much about what you call them either. So is this Nissan Kicks a hatchback or a crossover? Well, it's all the same to me. But I'll tell you this much, if you are looking for some new wheels on the cheap, you might want to take a look at this little thing. For more expert car reviews, don't forget to share our channel and subscribe so you can catch some of this and maybe even a little of that. Who doesn't like to be first, right? So if you consider this thing a crossover, which is totally fair, then Nissan was on the leading edge of what I think is soon to be a booming segment of entry-level crossovers that only come in a front-wheel drive configuration. Now, yes, you heard that right, no optional all-wheel drive here, and I know that is pretty much a staple for a lot of people out there when you think about crossovers and SUVs, but that brings us to the whole is it a car debate. Because yeah, it does look a little bit rugged thanks to those wheel arch moldings, but it drives an awful lot like a little hatchback. But then if that's the case, Kia beat Nissan to the punch a long time ago when it rolled out the Soul. But then Kia thinks that thing is a crossover too. And if you're not confused yet, consider this. If you look either of those up in the NRCan fuel consumption guide, they're both listed as cars. Apparently it has something to do with the lack of all-wheel drive combined with how high they are from the ground. But you know what the craziest part about all of it is? None of it matters whatsoever. So if you think modern hatchbacks are too sleek and sporty looking and you want something that's a lot more practical and useful, take a look at this. And if you want to call it a crossover in the process, I say it's your world, squirrel. Go nuts. And I mean, just take a look at me in here. Tons of headroom. I'm not cramped at all. But keep in mind, this thing can fit on a basketball court between the rim and the foul line with room to spare. It's really impressive what Nissan has been able to do with such a small footprint. And even in the back seat, I can sit behind myself with the driver's seat set up in my normal seating position. That is very impressive. And then because this thing is so tall and there's no sunroof, plenty of headroom in both rows of seats. And that is a problem I ran into with that Nissan Versa I just drove. Hey, by the way, go watch that, would you? Now, you don't have to look at them too long and hard to see the serious parallels between the Kicks and the Hyundai Venue, and it's obvious that Hyundai followed the roadmap that Nissan laid out here, but it missed the mark when it comes to trunk size. That thing is tiny, whereas this is the total opposite. It is absolutely massive back here. Just take a look, there's more than 700 liters, which means lots of ways to stash your stuff on a road trip. There's always a but though, right? So here's the deal. Those back seats, well, they do have a 60-40 split, but they don't fold anywhere close to flat. There's that huge bump back there. And the worst part is it wouldn't have taken Nissan much to fix that. All it would need is to be able to raise that cargo floor up like you can in the Venue. That would give you that flat cargo floor all the way through when you need extra room for stuff, but then you could drop it back down to maximize the space behind the seats. And there's another problem too. Okay, let's talk good news first. Like I said, I can fit back here, and it is very impressive just how well this is packaged. Video producer extraordinaire Will Johnson loves when I remind you guys that I am 6'3", and you can see I have more than enough room in here, but here's where the problem starts. There's no fold down armrest. I don't get it, because that means no cup holders. And the worst part is Nissan used to give you a cup holder on the back of the console. At least there was one for your passengers to fight over, but now there is none because it's put this console bin. That's great, but that creates a serious problem back here. Yeah, you have bottle holders in either door, but there's nowhere to put a cup. I don't understand what happened here. You know, I am glad Nissan added this bin because it gives you space to put stuff like wallets and keys that was seriously lacking from the last version, but it really solves one problem and creates another one. But aside from those pet peeves, this is a very simple space to get settled into. It's very basic in here, but I mean that in a good way. So you get this gear selector on the console, and that's about it. And then these simple HVAC controls above that, and this touchscreen infotainment system with physical buttons and knobs around it. And I have to say, this 8-inch screen is very responsive and it has a great refresh rate too. So any of your inputs, it's going to respond very quickly. It's not the best system around, but I can live with it considering how easy it is to use. Now, the base trim does come with a slightly smaller 7-inch screen, but the good news is both of them do come with standard Apple CarPlay and Android Auto connections, which is awesome. The other awesome thing is a 6-speaker stereo is standard in all trims, and then all but the base gets satellite radio as well, which is a nice little bonus. Now, here's the other thing. This SR Premium trim I'm driving, it has these cool headrest speakers on the driver's seat that remind me of that old Pontiac Fiero, but what sucks is the ones in this tester, they don't work at all, and this thing is brand spanking new. It's only got about 1,000 kilometers on the clock. I hate to see that in a brand new vehicle, so like I always say, keep an eye out on your test drive and make sure those gremlins don't exist in the one you're looking at. You don't want to deal with that in a brand new vehicle. Something you want to feel good about and not be frustrated by when something small like that gets in the way. Now, this top trim also gets this fantastic synthetic leather upholstery that has to be some of the best alternative to the real deal stuff I have ever experienced on the mainstream market. Not only is it soft, but it's durable too, and it looks great in this gray and black with the orange accent stitching. It just gives you a nice pop of color that you usually don't see in something so cheap. But really, that's about it for the stuff in here, except for advanced safety features. And in fairness to Nissan, the offering is pretty good overall. You get stuff like forward collision warning with pedestrian detection, auto braking front and rear, and blind spot monitoring, and that's all standard in every trim. And then if you skip the base one, you get adaptive cruise control too, but here's the catch. There is no lane keep assist at all, no matter the trim. There's only lane departure warning, and that to me is one of the most important advanced safety features available right now. And I really don't see how you get one without the other when you're talking about adaptive cruise control. They just work so well together. And the fact that I have adaptive cruise so I can use that on the highway and slow down with traffic, but then it won't keep me within my lane markings just seems like a weird choice. And that's something you can get in comparable vehicles like the Hyundai Venue. That's something important to remember. And the other thing is, for about the same money, you could get yourself into a Toyota Corolla hatchback that has all of those advanced safety features, including lane keep assist and adaptive cruise control. So that is worth noting as well. Now, speaking of pricing, if you want to get the base trim, you're going to pay a little less than 22 grand before tax. And then it's going to be 25,000 bucks for the SV trim that gets you stuff like alloy wheels, adaptive cruise control, a heated steering wheel, and heated seats. The SR trim, that's 26,000 bucks, and that gets you styling upgrades over anything else. And speaking of styling, there is a bunch of stuff that's new for this 2021 version, including that fascia. And I gotta say, the last one I thought was really cute, and I liked it a lot. This one's a lot more aggressive looking, and let's just say it's still growing on me, but I don't think it looks bad. And overall, I think the Kicks has a pretty cool look. It's not boring to look at, especially if you go with this two-tone option where you get the black roof, and on the upper trims, that goes with a bunch of black accessories like the wheels on this SR Premium trim. And speaking of that SR Premium, that's 900 bucks more than the SR, and it gets you other stuff like this upholstery as well as a surround view monitor and these headrest speakers. That's not bad value, but you know I have to say it, for about the same money, you can get yourself into a Kia Seltos, which I absolutely love, and that just won AutoTrader.ca's Best Subcompact SUV award. And no, you're not going to get any of the advanced safety features or a heated steering wheel, but you are going to get a key feature that you can't get here, and that is all-wheel drive. And listen, I don't necessarily think the Kicks needs it, but I know a lot of you out there like the peace of mind all-wheel drive brings to the table, and really it's a lot like insurance. You don't need it all the time, but when you do, you're gonna be glad it's there. I do think the Kicks is fine the way it is though, and if you're looking to put a positive spin on it, consider this. Driving less wheels means burning less gas, and that is something that the Kicks does very well. Of course, a hybrid's gonna be better, but the only way you're getting a hybrid for this kind of money is the Toyota Corolla, and that's a sedan, so it's just not quite as inherently practical as a crossover like this. And officially, the Kicks is rated to burn 7.2 liters per 100 kilometers, which is good in its own right, but I have been doing well better than that, and there's no eco mode or any fancy settings I'm using here, and I've been doing way better. I have been burning barely more than 6 liters per 100 kilometers this week without even trying. That is very impressive fuel efficiency. And the secret, aside from the front wheel drive thing, is the continuously variable transmission and the 1.6 liter 4-cylinder engine that's under the hood. No, it's not fancy, but it gets the job done. Now, this engine only makes 122 horsepower and 114 pound-feet of torque. So you do have to plan your passes just a little more strategically because this thing is not getting you anywhere in a hurry. But like I said, it's got the basics covered. If you're just looking for a commuter, this is more than enough, and it has that added bonus of outstanding efficiency. And I have to say the drive itself is pretty good too. Now, the suspension's just a little bit clunky, and you do feel a little bit of rigidity over really bumpy roads, but it's mostly comfortable. The steering's not too bad either. Now, if you really toss it into a corner, you are going to feel some body roll because, hey, it is pretty tall. But for the most part, I would say this is a very easy driving commuter car. If you're just looking to get the basics done, this ought to do the trick. To recap, I like how spacious the Kicks is, the decent features you can get, and how efficient it is. I don't like the armrest debacle that you can't get lane keep assist or that big bump in the back when you fold the seats down. The Nissan Kicks occupies something of an interesting space in the market, and it doesn't matter whether you call it a crossover or a hatchback, because even one like this one I'm driving, well, it's priced well below 30 grand, but it has way more space inside than anything else like it, and I think it looks pretty good too. No, you can't get it decked out with features, but there is a decent selection of stuff to go with that value. You know, it is a few quirks away from being perfect, but for the price, this thing's hard to beat.